Not easy to find. My business here is to talk to you about a small organization. It's an NGO that we have formed and what we're doing with it and why we're doing it. Being Irish, you're probably aware, well, at least those of you who are Irish, you're probably aware of the fact that not everybody on the planet is speaking English. There are a number of languages which are on the verge of extinction, and whose main problem isn't the lack of offer. When I mean offer, I mean the possibility of using it, the social possibility of using it. And the social possibility of using it doesn't only mean the fact that you can sit down in the courtyard and talk to somebody else in that language. I mean, that's an important part of it, and we'll come back to it. But there's another side to it, and that's the possibility of using it in technology. When you cannot use language to do this, your mind goes to transfer a full set of your activity to another linguistic area. That's if you can do it. In Europe, usually you can. So you have those big languages that are eating up the small ones, as it happens here with Gaelic and as it happens all over Europe with minority languages. But if you go into other places on the planet where you don't have this option of being able to use a big language, then you're simply cut off. And that's what is called the digital divide. So there are two important aspects to this. The first one is the preservation of the cultural ecology of Europe. Because when you have diversity, then you have an ecology. If you destroy diversity, and that's the same thing in culture, then you're destroying the ecology, and the ecology of thought in Europe, in the very end of it. And if you go outside Europe, when you don't have this option of taking the choice of becoming part of a bigger system, then you're simply going to be a cut-off person. So that's what we started to work with. And the assumption we made was that in the past, pretty much of this work has been done on political basis because, it is a political problem after all, so it's normal that it's done on political basis. But the problem of doing politics is that you always get opponents and you always get people who are saying you're wrong no matter what you say, because that's the very nature of politics. In the exact moment in which you make a political assertion, you have the exact opposite coming from the other side, no matter which assertion you're making. So we decided that instead of doing politics, or better, instead of talking politics, we were going to do politics. That is, we were going to offer ways of using languages, no matter which ones. And that we would start from the assumption that individually, it's very few of us, because all those languages are small. There is no such thing as a big community. There is not such thing as a big community for my own native language. It's probably like 5, 6 people who are technologically able to produce something in it because they both are native speakers and programmers and motivated to do this sort of things. Obviously, it's 2 million of us, and 95% of us cannot read and write in their own mother language, so obviously there cannot be many. The very same situation is all over the planet with other languages. The possibility of mobilizing a producing force is very limited. But if we come all together from different languages and we start to work based on the assumption that we have one problem. Yes, okay, we are from different communities, but the problem we have is the same. If you live in a desert and there is no water, it doesn't matter whether you're an Arabian or an Israeli or whoever else. You still have no water. So your problem is to find the water. And what we need to have is tools. And tools that can be easily made productive. That was the main assumption that we made. So one of the first steps we did was finding out things that could produce something like, not really a small newspaper, but a community site in the language that would be completely localized. And immediately as we did this, we have now a network of like 6, 7 sites that goes to Vietnamese, to Karelian, to African languages. The second problem we immediately met was that in most of these languages, people cannot read and write. So the very fact that you use the internet, that is written technology, is not going to help you much, because this is going to be pretty much of an intellectual experience for those few who are politically motivated, but it's not going to be a practical tool for the people, because they cannot read and write. So the second step was going towards something that could allow the people to talk. It used to be sci-fi 5-6 years ago, but nowadays it's pretty normal that you can simply open up your Skype and say something. And if you get recorded from the other side, okay, that you have the added problem that people feel better in writing an email because nobody's going to see me. I can read back, I can think about it, maybe I've been too emotional, maybe I said it badly, but if I just speak and put my face against Skype, then I cannot correct a word. I have to go back and do it all over and over and over and over again. And a lot of people, as we found out, do not eventually get to the point in which they feel they are ready to publish. So you have another bottleneck here, and it's a bottleneck we are studying at the moment. Because when you offer different technologies, you always bump into something. And that's what happened with us constantly. And the third thing that we came to do was working to a dictionary from any to any language. We will talk about it more extensively later. The idea has philosophical implications that need being discussed, because it's not that true that you can actually translate anything from anywhere to anywhere. But it's true that when you have small languages and minority languages, most of the time what you have is a person who is from a foreign culture. He's gone there as a missionary or whatever else, and he made a list of words, and he published this. So you have tribe X, suppose my own tribe. We used to publish a dictionary towards Italian because we became Italians, so it was important for us to have a way to get the people literate in Italian, which was supposed to be the noble language because it was the official language of the country. And obviously, you wouldn't have the definition in my own language because I already know it. And Italian has no interest in learning my language, so I need the definition in Italian, the word which is mine, so I can know what it is, and the corresponding word from the other side. It was a vehicle to pour me out of my culture, not something to put the two cultures in connection. It was a hierarchy, in a way. We decided that if we can find a tool that with very little labor, well, very little means an awful lot, but much less than what it would be if you had to do it over and over and over again. If you could find a tool that could maximize the effect of the labor we are using to make a dictionary that could immediately tell me as a Piedmontese what the word in Wolof means. So when this guy comes over as a migrant from Africa, he can speak my own language. And if he can speak my own language, he's going to feel part of the territory immediately. What we notice is that one of the problems that there are around, at least in Europe, but I believe it's all over the world, you have lots of races. Lots. Because these people come over, and I myself a migrant into Ukraine 9 years, so I know what it is. You behave different. I'm a Western there, and I do think I dress up in ways. I have a beard, long hair. I mean, I'm not exactly what the post-Soviet planet is supposed to see. The same problem have those people who migrate here, because they're not exactly what we are supposing to see and expecting to see. And whether you like it or not, you're going to have this reaction of, oh, what's that? You do have it. But if that person can drop a thing and say a bad word in your language, you're going to laugh. That's stupid, but it's the exact moment in which the ice is broken and this person potentially becomes part of the community. We have noticed, for example, that places in which agriculture is developed and the migrants go there and they work in the vineyards. They learn the local language, not Italian. There is no racism there. There are problems with individuals, as everywhere, but there is no ideological barrier against the foreign, because it's not the foreign, it's somebody who is swearing like you to take up the grapevine and make the wine. In a big city it's different because you have this wall. There is no communication.